So this is what makes this engine so hard to get in. If you look right there, you'll see that this motor mount is sitting on top of that motor mount. That lower one is the motor mount connected to the car. The upper one is the motor mount connected to the engine. Now I have put this engine in here many times in many different ways. One time I even tried putting it in here with the motor mount disconnected and then try to bolt it up through these little slots, which didn't work very well. But what I have going on here is, here's the transmission. If you'll notice, there's a bolt right there that goes into the engine. So this side, I have one bolt connected to this side of this engine. This other side over here, I have, there's about an inch down there between the engine and where that bolt goes. And also, this transmission isn't lined up. This left side, the side I'm on of the transmission, needs to come up. Now if I can get this bolt in this side over here on the passenger side in here enough to kind of hold that. Let me try sitting all right down here in the engine compartment. See if that can work. Maybe it can, maybe it can't, I don't know. Let's see, I'm going to try reaching back in here and turning the screw with this little piece of crooked wrench I've got in my hand and pulling that engine and transmission there together. Now I think what has to happen is that the other side of the engine needs to go down, or the transmission on the other side of the engine needs to come up. So I'm going to try to, by getting on the ground and working on that jack that's under the car, I'm going to try to shift that transmission by moving the jack to this side. Now I'm going to go look at where my transmission is in relationship to the back of that engine on this side. Okay, see that bolt hole down there needs to come way up here, probably about 2 inches to get up to the back of that motor. So I'm going to try to see if I can raise this side. Put that transmission up enough. That's closer. Maybe that I can drop this engine on this side down slightly and rock it back. I heard it go clonk, so that probably means it's sitting on that motor mount, which it is. Sitting on top of that motor mount right there. But it's closer to lining up with that. If I could get this engine to go back some. Okay. Oh, look at that. Now, Now, look. If you can see that, I can see the ear of that transmission lined up with the back of that motor, and I believe that these things have a little knob on the back that goes in a hole in the transmission, and I believe that's in there. So if I can get a bolt in here to connect these 2 points, and I am behind the motor mount here, and I should still be over here because this engine over here is bolted to that. That's moved a little, but not too much. Let's see that. That's very close. So the best thing I can do, I believe, now is to get a bolt in that side over there. So I'm going to find me a one with, I don't need a terribly long one. Probably ought to make a trip down to my garage back there and get me a suitable engine bolt. And that one would do, well, that one would do, that will do. So let's try sticking a little washer on that one. See if we can do this here. That works. It may be too long. See, this one is actually too long, but if I can get it to go into place, it won't matter. And I believe that could be true over there too. So let's just see. Actually, if I had a shorter one though, it would be better. It's raining outside, but I could go down back and get me some. I'm pretty sure I've got some of what I need around here. Well, actually, that one would probably do. Let's see, the shorter one is going to go in there easier, and I don't have to take it out and change it to a shorter one later. On the other side, I had to use the longer one because I needed to pull that stuff up. But over here, now I'm going to have that shifter. I don't know if you can see, that's the old shifter connection right here in the way, which is going to make it hard to reach. But if I can reach back in there, I'm going to need a longer one. Oh yeah, y'all are looking at me and not that. I think what I'm going to do is stitch all aside, turn it off while I wrestle with that. It's hard to keep up with the camera and do that too, so I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, this is good news. She's in there. The mounts are in place, the bolts are stuck through the mounts, the transmission and the engine is lined up. That bolt is going to come out because it's too long, and I'm going to go find the right bolts. There's going to be 6 bolts. There's going to be 1, 2, 1 behind here, 1 over there, and then 2 on the other side. Interestingly enough, this engine had a bolt hole on the top, which this transmission doesn't have, and I've never seen one that did have, but there's a, I don't know if that was to be connected to the old Power Glide transmission back in the day or what, but there actually is, and I don't think you can see it, and I don't think I can set this in a place where you can see it, but there actually is an engine bolt hole right where my middle finger is, but there's nothing to put that through in the transmission. The first bolt hole is over here, like they all are. So this engine had 7 engine bolt holes. Somebody that knows or is familiar with the old Power Glides, tell me, was that a Power Glide thing? Was that what they did back in the day? I'm not exactly sure the year of this engine. I believe he said it was a 67. I don't really know, but it might be an interesting thing to look up and find out. I didn't really track down and write down a bunch of numbers on this thing because I didn't really think it mattered that much. Oh, I'm happy to have it in there though, and I'm happy to have just what I've got. Now let me say this. Somebody already said, "Oh, well, you're going to put a 4-barrel, and you're going to put an Edelbrock, and you're going to put a cam, and you're going to put this, and you're going to put that." Well, no, I'm not. This is going to be a stock 2-barrel 283 power pack heads, nothing more. It's what I want. Back in the day, we used to race cars, circle track race, and we had to run 2-barrel carburetors, and we used to make them things scald, boy. You could make them fast. And I wanted an engine that is, I love the 283 because it's the classic Chevy engine that would have been out when this car was made. And I like the simplicity of having a cast iron manifold. I know it's like 10 times heavier than aluminum, but you won't be stripping out any bolts on it or anything like that. It's got the old Chevy oil spout on the front, old school, and this used to have a vent that came right out of the back and went down to the ground. That was the crankcase vent, and now they've got it where it sucks into the back of the intake over here, which is fine. That actually saves you a little gas. It's not bad for the engine. It's good for the environment and all that. So this is going to be a process. Probably the first thing I'm going to do is get as many engine bolts in it from up here as I can, because once I put the distributor in it, it's going to be in the way. So right now I can reach over in here and do these engine bolts over in here with that distributor not in there. But what I'll do is I'll put those engine bolts in it, I'll jack it up, and I'll get under it, and I'll put all those engine bolts in it. I'll torque them as much as I can. It's hard to torque them when you can barely reach them, but I'll tighten them as much as I can. Maybe I should say that. And I'll connect the torque converter to the flywheel of the flex plate. I have already checked that this connection here will work right where I thought it would. It's going to go right where what's that thing hanging on it, so it tends to get stuck on all sorts of things there. But it's going to sit right here on that bolt, and this part up here goes to work the gas, and this part down here is what triggers the passing gear when you kick that in. And yeah, that'll all work out just fine. And then I'll move the coil. I can sit it anywhere else. You can set that coil about anywhere. You just need a good place where it's not rolling around on the engine there. So yeah, I'm happy with that for a day's work. I don't know how much more I'll do today. I'll probably go by and back. I'm sure I've got a box of bolts back there. I'll get my box of bolts and bring them up here and start fingering the ones in that I can reach from up here. And I hadn't decided what I'm going to do about the radiator on this. That radiator I had on that last engine was big old wide radiator with dual electric fans, and to be honest with you, I'd rather run the old I've got the old fan back here, the old 4-blade fan. That's not it, that's a multi-blade fan, but I've got that 4-blade fan around here somewhere, and I'd love to run it just to give it a completely stock engine kind of look, and also absolutely no maintenance issues as far as having to wire in 2 electric motors to run the fan. And I always hate it when a car, and I say this because I have a car that runs a fan, and the Studebaker does, but I hate it when I see an old car run in and I can hear the fan running. Something about that just rubs me the wrong way. It's like a lot of people don't like electric cars. Well, I don't like to see a hot rod come in and I can hear the fan running. That makes me want to slap somebody. But having said that, I can't really be too mean about it because I've got one like that. So I guess I'll stop talking and go get me some bolts and see how much I can do, how much damage I can do putting everything back together here. And then I'll come back and talk to y'all some more when I get something to a place where we can go somewhere with it. Okay? Okay. Thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all.